Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching the Political Vigilante. God, I'm back in the good studio. Hot, fresh graphics popping up here. So excited. I'm wearing a Hawaiian shirt like we're doing a Jimmy Buffett podcast. All right, get it going in Margaritaville. New news here. I blew out a flip-flop. We're going to get to the bottom of that. But first, Trump wants to withdraw troops from Afghanistan and Iraq. Well, now this is interesting. Pentagon prepares for Trump order to withdraw troops from Afghanistan and Iraq. This was in The Hill. CNN also reported on it. Several things here. First of all, it's what Trump ran on in 2016. He ran an anti-interventionist campaign. And all the liberals, all they heard was, and he said a lot of, he still does, obviously, he says offensive. He says now he doesn't want to leave office. At any moment, he might just go, all right, Proud Boys, go get them, go, hey, Second Amendment folks, go do your thing. Like that's a concern. It's a legitimate concern. But you cannot overlook the fact that he didn't run a real populist campaign in 2020. He just ran on, I'm president, I'm great, everything I've done has been awesome. Joe Biden's a Marxist or socialist or whatever he said, which Joe Biden is Joe Biden is a Republican. I wish he was a socialist. Oh my God, that'd be great if he was. He's not. He's the most capitalist, corporate, Republican, big bank, warmongery guy you can get. Trump's pretty close too. But it should be noted, Trump did not run a very populist campaign in 2020. He did in 2016. He said he was going to get us out of these wars. He ran an anti-interventionist campaign. He was critical of Obama, especially in Obama's second term. Why are we in Afghanistan? Why are we in Iraq? You're wasting people's money. All this stuff. That was part of his Make America Great Again campaign was I'm going to bring back all your jobs and I'm going to get us out of all these wars. And people, liberals always forget that. I'm not a liberal anymore. I used to call myself a liberal years ago. I don't. I'm an anti-war, pro-labor, pro-environment socialist, and not the evil socialists they tell you about on Fox News. Oh, I'm talking about the socialists that just, wants to take Medicare and make it for everybody. You know how we have all these crazy socialist plans like fire departments and public schools and street cleaning and those goddamn libraries that take away our freedoms? That's the kind of socialism I'm talking about. Not Stalin era totalitarian communism. Different thing. But Trump did run a populist campaign. It was in 2016. It was xenophobic. It had racist stuff. It had sexist stuff in there, but it was populist. It was, and it resonated with a lot of people. And a lot of people don't realize that some people voted, the main reason they voted for Trump was to get us out of all these wars. So there's that. He did say he was going to do that. And now he's like, all right, I'm going to do this before January 20th. It feels like more advisors around him are starting to say, dude, you lost. You got to walk, right? Some people are like, Graham, the Democrats cheated. I'm sure that they did, but the Republicans cheat too. Our whole system is just filthy and corrupt. I mean, it's just like arguing over, oh my God, the captain of the Titanic lied on his application. Okay, that's a pretty serious crime, but the Titanic is sinking and everyone's going to die if they don't get on a boat, a raft soon. American empire is collapsing. There's bread line, longest lines we've seen. Anyway, but there's several things to point. This is the corporate media. The Hill is corporate media. They do some okay stories. Rising is on the Hill. Rising is the most progressive show you're going to get out of the corporate media. That's the best. That's the most progressive you're going to get. They're still corporate media. They're funded by the Koch brothers. Like the Hill is still but so the point of this is I'm going to get into the story. They're not withdrawing all of the troops. He's just going to reduce the troop counts, and true to form, everyone's, whoa, nothing unifies bipartisan support. This, by the way, and if he talks about pulling everybody out, this will guarantee you that the deep state will go, you're done, dude. You want to get rid of war? No, sir. And his big supporters are like, oh man, he didn't bomb any new countries, which is always like, yeah, I don't think Hey, Ted Bundy stopped killing women after a certain, I mean, when he was like on trial and everyone was watching him, he couldn't kill any more women. Yeah, he's still the serial killer. Trump was still bombing the shit out of, America's still bombing, I don't know, I think 7 countries right now. We're sanctioning another half a dozen more. So he's not some peacenik. He's not keeping up his campaign promises. No politician from either of these filthy, corrupt parties does that. But also, I just want to show you how the corporate media is showing. They're writing this as like some sort of alarming thing, like, oh no, right? This is the thing that drives me nuts about the neoliberals. They claim to be, they were all against George Bush for his 2 wars, which he lied about. He lied about weapons of mass destruction. George W. Bush lied about weapons of mass destruction. Over 1 million Iraqis have died. Thousands of Americans, hundreds of thousands have been wounded. Thousands have died. We have 22 vets a day that still commit suicide because America is in this endless war cycle, right? Obama kept it going. Trump has kept it going. So even a hint of drawing down troops makes people lose their shit. But let's get into the meat of the article here, okay? The Defense Department is anticipating that Trump, as soon as this week, and this story came out November 16th, will order military officials to cut the number of troops from Afghanistan from 4,500 to 2,500. Well, it's a little misleading that they didn't say withdraw some troops, decrease number of troops. They said withdrawal. So when you first read it, you think, oh, he's pulling people out of Iraq and Afghanistan, which I'm all in favor of. I don't like Trump. I'm glad he lost. I don't like Biden. I didn't vote for filthy Biden. I wouldn't vote for either one of these, the lesser of 2 rapists, warmongers. You keep bombing the same countries that you inherited the country bombing, you're a warmonger. Joe Biden's a warmonger. Trump's a warmonger. They both got ties to Epstein. They're filthy. The ruling class is filthy. They're horrible people. They're horrible people. But I just wanted to point out that he's not pulling everyone out. That would be awesome if that was one of his, like, I'm going to do whatever I want before I walk out of here in January. I'm pulling all the troops out. Like, that would be amazing. Because then you'd have to watch Biden go, oh, I got to put the troops back. Which we had a thriving anti-war movement during George W. Bush, during the Iraq war. Like, everyone kind of understood Afghanistan. Okay, they made a case. They were, Osama bin Laden had training camps in Afghanistan. The Taliban were helping ISIS train. They made it. This is the case they made. Obviously, we can all argue this, but I'm saying this is just the case for Afghanistan. Made a little more sense back then, right? Oh, they're giving safe haven to train terrorists, and these are the terrorists that did the 9/11 bombings. Weird we didn't invade Saudi Arabia. Anyway, different segment. But then Iraq was like, what the hell is Iraq? And the right wing, the Republican administration was painted as these very war hawks, which they were. Dick Cheney, Rumsfeld, all these guys are just crazy psycho war criminals, right? And everyone protested. There was millions of people in the streets protesting us not to go into Iraq. I was so against it. Afghanistan kind of made sense to me at the time. 2001, 2002. Iraq made no sense. And then when Obama got elected, the anti-war movement went to sleep. So he's just drawing down the troops by January 15th. The abrupt order comes following the leadership purge at the Pentagon last week and the placing of several Trump loyalists in the department's top ranks. One of the people that got put in the top ranks was this guy Miller, who had been serving as director of the National Counterterrorism Center since August. On Friday, released a confusing and sometimes contradicting letter saying it's time to come home from foreign conflicts. This is how America is so obsessed with war. We have been in Afghanistan for 19 years. We officially put people in there in October of 2001. We just crossed the 19-year anniversary. And I say this time and time again to really put it in people's perspective, all right? So Pearl Harbor happened December 7th, 1941. So this is the equivalent of us still fighting in Japan and Asia and Europe in 1960. American involvement in World War II was December of 41 and ended in the summer of 45. 3.5 years. Brutal, awful, but 3.5. That was America's involvement. Right? We're still in Afghanistan. Imagine we spend 10 times as much as everybody on war. I will get into that in a second, but let's listen to what this Miller guy said, because it's a country that's so addicted to war. This is my point. We've been at war for 19 years, right? The longest running war in the history of America. The news isn't constantly talking about it. Even last year when the Afghanistan papers came out, you thought that would have been like this, that bombshell, that's it, end this war, we're done, protests in the streets. No. The corporate media that gets funding from companies like Boeing and Northrop Grumman and all them, Raytheon, they're not going to call it out. So we've been at war for so long that we don't even know how, like generals, and they don't even know how, this never-ending war. We don't even know how to say, hey, it's time to get out of this war. It's like this, he gives this crazy contradicting message. This war isn't over. We're on the verge of defeating Al-Qaeda and its associates. On the verge? So 19 years, we're still on the verge. We're just, it's right around the corner. Just right around the corner. We're going to get, we just need a little more, we've done the surge. We've done the down. Like, Obama said he was going to pull us out of Iraq and Afghanistan. That's one of the reasons I voted for him. He said, I'm going to pull us out of these two. I was like, get us out of these wars. Gas was $5 a gallon in the summer of 2008. I'm like, get us out of these wars. The financial crisis hit. I'm like, Bush, these guys are awful. Obama increased the troop count in Afghanistan. Trump said he was going to pull people out and then even put them back in. It's like Trump wants to pull troops out, but then ultimately he's going to acquiesce. He's not his followers think he's this outsider. No. The war isn't over. We're on the verge of defeating Al-Qaeda and its associates. The 19 years of we're on the verge. Are you done hearing this, America? Are you done? It's like when everyone was all mad at me, I voted third party for this election. I did not. So even now that Biden won, the dumb liberals can't get mad at me. I voted for Jesse. I wrote in Jesse Ventura. And I feel great about that decision. Because all of awful shit that Biden's going to do, I'm going to say, I told you. But the liberals won't own it because they're just on the verge. The same thing with the lesser of two evils. We got to vote lesser of two evils. I've heard this for 30 years. Graham, if you vote third party, you're wasting your vote. Voting for the lesser of two evils, you are giving both of these parties zero incentive to do what you ask for them. You have to not, the only thing politicians and political parties fear is losing, is getting out of power. The two big parties, the Republicans and Democrats, their only real fear is to be out of power. And if you keep giving them your vote, they don't have zero. Why would I do something for you after you voted for me? Sorry. We'll pull them to the left. You're not going to pull Joe Biden to the left. Because he was vice president when Obama dropped more bombs than Bush. You see how there's no difference between the two parties? Right? Trump has been bombing 7 countries, sanctioning a half a dozen more. And this is his big FU to the establishment, is just pulling the troop count down. That does nothing. If he was like, all the troops home by Christmas, done. I'm doing this. He could do that as president before Biden gets sworn in. He absolutely could do that. So this is like a token gesture, but even this it's going to make the war machine flip out, which both parties will flip out. I'm going to show you in a second. We're on the verge of defeating Al-Qaeda and its associates. God, it takes a good 25, 30 years to defeat somebody, I guess. But we must avoid our past strategic error of failing to see the fight through to the finish. I'm sorry. Imagine. Let's look to sports. Tell me a coach in professional sports that keeps losing, was brought in to win a championship, keeps losing for 19 years. Tell me one professional coach that has been coaching somewhere for 19 years and hasn't won yet, doesn't have a championship, hasn't finished it all. Tell me one. Where? I'm a Cubs fan. Joe Madden got brought in to win a World Series. He did in 2016 and didn't win one since. And he got fired because he only won one with a great team. We can all give all of our favorite sports teams. I'm an LA Sparks fan. I love the WNBA. Brian Aguilar came in 2016, won a championship, fired after 2018. Fired because he didn't win. He only won one. But we're on the verge. Imagine a head coach saying that. We're on the verge. We're on the verge. But we got to see it through. No, you're done. That's what you would do in professional sports. The business owners, the billionaires that own these professional sports, they go, dude, you had your chance. You haven't won yet. I just listed coaches that have won championships, but then didn't continue to win championships, and they got fired, man. You're done. This war's over. But the generals in the Pentagon, you're fired. You're done. You haven't won. It's over. You've lost. You're done. We're done with the war. But what about Al-Qaeda? I'm sorry. We'll deal with that another way. I'm sorry. Maybe we'll address the poverty in the Middle East. There's a fly in my studio. I don't think I swallowed a bug. And I'm not cutting this out. They had their chance. It's over. We must avoid our past strategic error of failing to see the fight through to the finish. Indeed, this fight has been long, our sacrifices have been enormous, and many are weary of war. I'm one of them. All wars must end. Oh, don't say that. No, defense contractors they like constant war. And the central banks. Because the biggest thing the banks get out of war is debt. Because you have to go into debt to fight a war. You just have to. Because then it's like, watch the documentary Fog of War. Almost worse ending ended. Ending wars requires compromise and partnership. We must meet the challenge. We gave it our all. Now it's time to come home. The guy just is like, so this one, he's like failing to see the fight to the finish. We must avoid it. And then this one, it's time to come home. This mixed message is in line with what Trump's doing. He's not pulling everybody out. He's cutting the troop count down from 4,500 to 2,500 in one country and 3 grand to 2,500. So we're still not ending the fight. And we're going to keep saying, there's 18-year-olds fighting in these wars that were born after 9/11. The war is older than them. Can you imagine being that? You're 18 and the war you're fighting in is older than you. If you're an 18-year-old service member in Afghanistan, the war is older than you. That is messed up. This is how empires collapse. They spend money, all this money on war. That's what collapsed Rome. Corruption, endless wars. Happened to the Soviet Union. They went to Afghanistan. That was part of the beginning of the end. A lot of reasons the Soviet Union collapsed. People internally were sick of it, whatever, but that was one of their things. They kept spending this money and spending this money. Trump, who has long promised he would stop endless wars, he said he was going to do that. Didn't do it in his first term. And don't fall for but the second term is when they'll really, I heard that about Obama. I kept waiting for Obama. Like, when's he going to do all this FDR shit I thought he said he was going to do? But his second term, then he'll double. No, Trump's not going to do it. If he somehow miraculously would have the Supreme Court said he won or whatever, he ain't going to do it. Joe Biden ain't going to do shit. His first term is going to be all corporate bullshit. Look at who he's been appointing. He's been appointing all these awful Republicans and Heidi Heitkamp, corporate Democrat. It's not happening because the war machine won't let you. I'm going to show you why in a second. Trump was long promised he would stop endless wars and bring U.S. troops back stateside, increased troops in Afghanistan from 8,600 to roughly 14,000 at the advice of military advisors in 2017. The minute he got to office, the guy that ran on an anti-interventionist campaign upped the troop count. That's exactly what Obama did. I want you to understand, if you're a big Trumper, you're a big vote any blue will do, Democrat, Obama, Biden are amazing. There's no difference. There's no difference. There's no difference. That's why in the debates, they just would argue about like pro-choice. They find these handful of issues that the two parties are actually slightly different on to make you think there's these huge, wide differences between these two parties. They're both against Medicare for all because the healthcare industry gives to both parties. That's why. The same people that donated to Joe Biden donated to Mitch McConnell. You go to opensecrets.org, right? It's the same thing with the defense industry. That's why they have defense contract. That's why they have defense factories in all of these key congressional and senatorial districts. It's not a mistake. They open up a factory in this district. They make sure that sitting senator gets a lot of donations, or whoever's running that's going to be, and whoever takes their money, that's who wins. That's why Hillary Clinton voted for the war in Iraq. You know, Joe Biden did. Like they all did. The Democrats who claim to be the big peacenik party, they're not, because war is profitable for both parties. Both parties are filthy and corrupt. We have to end this duopoly. We have to it's not going to end. Look what Trump did. I'm running an anti, and we're going to get us all of these endless wars. I mean, within 6 months of taking his hand off the Bible to become president, boom. And my guess is the majority of the people going over there are working class people. That's who fights in wars. Rich kids don't fight wars. They don't have to. It's people joining the military because there's no jobs where they live. The only job they can get is with the Walmart or waiting tables or, you know, being a drug dealer for like the opioid epidemic, doing criminal shit. Manual labor, maybe, but like not good paying, not union manual labor, not like what $35, $40 an hour in a factory working a union gig, which can feed a family and could build a nice life. A good union job like that we used to have in this country. Nope. That's why I met them when I was in Afghanistan and Iraq and Kuwait as a stand-up comedian. I've never been in the military. I don't know what it's like to be in combat, but I've been in war zones and I've seen more than most civilians have. And I don't know how many people I met in Iraq and Afghanistan saying, oh, the reason I did a $20,000 re-enlistment bonus. Really? Yeah. One guy just said, I came here for the money, man. I needed the money. There's no jobs back home. The factory's closed and it was like minimum wage at Walmart or this. So I re-enlisted. Economic conscription. So these are hardworking people that Trump sent back to war. Probably some of them voted for him. Do you see how both parties don't give a shit about you? Trump doesn't give it. You voted for Trump. Trump's going to get us out of these wars. No, he didn't. He just sent your kids back to Afghanistan. Biden, he's the guy that's going to change everything. But Biden, he's the guy who he kept the war going. Him and Obama up the troop count. Both Trump and Obama up the troop count in Afghanistan, as did Bush. And to show you when anybody of either party suggests no war, they usually get it from their own party. Remember when Tulsi Gabbard said, why are we going? I don't want another interventionist war in Syria. And she was immediately smeared by people in her own party. She's an Assad apologist. She goes, I lost friends in Iraq. I don't want to have more people die in these interventionist wars. These are ridiculous. They're not good. She's smeared for that. And look, the Democratic Party has completely shunned her. Even though she endorsed Biden, which was a mistake. She's learning that now. Tulsi, I know you're learning that was a mistake. You got to tell the Democratic Party to go fuck themselves. You're going to be the real outsider, then be one. Don't half in, half out. Be a leader. Lead your base. Lead your people that really followed you and believed in you. Don't lead them into voting for Joe Biden. Lead them out of the Democratic Party. But she got smeared by her own party, right? So what's happening with Trump? The minute he says this, here's what Mitch McConnell said. A rapid withdrawal of U.S. forces from... Now imagine that like Jowly from Afghanistan would hurt our allies and delight the people who wish us harm. This is like some Dick Cheney press release from 2003. He just dig up some Cheneyism. Hurt our ally. What? And delight in the people that wish us harm. We create more terrorists than we prevent. We've been fighting this for 19 years. We've spent somewhere in the neighborhood of $9 trillion. And that is a debatable because the Pentagon lost $21 trillion. So I don't really even know what the real number is, but it is in the trillions, a minimum of $5 to $6 trillion we've been spending in Afghanistan. If you count the global war on terror, it's probably in the 10 trillion. It's insane amounts of money. It's the kind of money that could fix this country. It could be fixed. And when we drone strike these people, 90% of the targets, especially under the Obama years, 90% of the casualties of Obama's drones, did you know that? And it's probably the same with Trump. Civilians. Just regular people living in the Middle East. That's where they're born. That's where they live. They're not zealots. They don't want to blow up America. They just want to fucking raise their kids and go to, if they're like everyone else. And then a drone comes down and kills their kids. Shit, man. I'd join a terrorist organization too if that happened to me. I'd be like, whoever sent that drone is pissing me the fuck off. Imagine. Because the Mexican drug cartels are making life hard in Mexico. What if the Mexican military sent drones to kill? The Mexican drug cartels are operating in America. What if they sent to blow? There's a meth lab, right? There's a meth house somewhere in Arizona or something like that. And they sent a drone to blow up that house, and it killed a bunch of just innocent people in the neighborhood. And a friend or family member died as a result of that. Would you be like, wow, thank God we got the bad guys? Or you'd be like, whoever that they sent that drone, another country sent that drone, I'm going to fight them till I die. We create more terrorists than we stop. Hurt our allies. You want here are the allies Mitch McConnell's really talking about. Oh, Lockheed Martin worth $29.4 billion. This is their expenditure with contractors. This is just back in 2015, right? Boeing, and I'm sure these numbers have changed a little bit, but just look at all these companies. General Dynamics, Raytheon, Northrop, look at how much money these billions and billions and billions. Humana? Jeez. I didn't realize they made bombs. Everybody does now, I guess. L3, United Technologies, Northrop Grumman, 9.5 billion, General Dynamics, 11.8, Raytheon, 12.3. Those are the allies Mitch McConnell's talking about. Because they keep him in business. And they give all this money, and we don't learn about the true cost of war on the media because these companies buy the media too. Here, look, this is a Raytheon MSNBC ad.
We see these beautiful pictures at night from the decks of these two U.S. Navy vessels.
That was Brian Williams, by the way, on the so-called liberal MSNBC. MSNBC is corporate, just like Fox News and CNN. And Raytheon buys ad time on Fox and CNN and MSNBC and all of them. That's why people like Brian Williams manufacture consent for all of these awful wars. Imagine if America outspent the next 10 countries combined on education, on housing for the homeless, on healthcare, on infrastructure, on jobs, a federal jobs guarantee and UBI on its citizens. What if we spent $10 trillion on all those things? What if we outspent the next 10 countries combined? Because that's what we spend on war. We outspend the next 10 countries combined on war, on destruction, on terror, on mayhem, on murder, on bloodshed, on horrors, on horrific shit. You've never seen a drone strike in America. You don't know what it looks like. You don't know how awful it is. Imagine If we led the world on, we had the best school, we have the money. We had the best schools, best public schools. And when you have the best public schools, you have low crime and stuff, because all these people fighting in the streets. What do we spend money on? People living in their cars, people, the longest lines we've ever seen for food banks, ever. Gee, I thought that only happened in socialist countries. I only thought socialist countries had empty shelves in the grocery store. No, that's happening in America. Good old American capitalism. Imagine if we outspent the next 10 countries combined on college education, on K through 12 public education. What if we did the housing first, like they do in Finland? Putting people in housing so they're not living on the streets, getting people drug treatment programs rather than just incarcerating them for smoking a plant or whatever. Do what Oregon just did. They decriminalize a bunch of drugs because it's a health issue. It's not a criminal issue. We have one of the highest prison populations because we have for-profit prisons. And then we got people like Brian Williams basically getting a boner, just getting a hard on looking at rockets that are going to go kill people. And think of it, each one of these rockets that Raytheon's like keeping America free. Just think, oh, there goes the school. Oh, there's 100 kids who could have got a good college education. Oh, there's 1,000 homeless people we could have put in housing. Think about that the next time you drive by a tent city in your town, which you probably have them, especially since COVID. Think about that. The next time you see the line miles long for a food bank, think about that. Think about how much money we spent on bombs. And then think about how the media sits there and basically just gets on their knees for these big ad buys. This looks sexy.
I am tempted to quote the great Leonard Cohen, I'm guided by the beauty of our weapons.
Guided by the beauty of our weapons.
We are one global team,
creating trusted, innovative solutions
to make the world a safer place.
It is not safer. They make the world a worse place. That's what they do. And that's why you come here. Because nobody's going to break down that story about Trump on the corporate media. Right? I showed you both sides. I showed you like all aspects of it. He's not really pulling troops out of there. He's not getting everyone out of there. He's just lessening the number a little bit. And you know what Joe Biden's going to do when he gets sworn in? He's going to talk like a Republican and say, oh, the military was in tatters under Trump. He pulled troops out of Afghanistan. He's not making us safe. And you'll hear blue check Hollywood liberals go, yeah, Joe Biden, it's about time we got someone in front of. They're going to sound like Republicans. Because liberals don't give a shit about war. Because you know what? When you send your kids to private schools or even just nice suburban high schools, there's not army recruiters there typically. They go to the inner city schools. They go to the poor schools. They go to the working class schools. They do it. They do it. Doesn't matter. White working class, Black, Latino, working class. If it's working class and they know there's a good chance people in this neighborhood don't have the money to send their kids to college because college is completely unaffordable now. So that's what it is. That's how much they love war. That's how much they love war. Trump, I mean, again, I'm no fan of Trump. I didn't vote for him. I didn't vote for Biden. But you want to get both parties in the media against you? Just say you're against. Just say you're going to stop war. You're going to stop spending money on war. You're going to try to save American lives. Just do that. I guarantee you, within the first year, Biden and Harris will have us in a new war. My prediction is either Iran or Venezuela, but we will have boots on the ground in Iran or Venezuela. And dumb fuck liberals will go, yay, we love war because it never happens to us. We don't know anyone who's one of the 22 vets a day that commit suicide because we're rich assholes and we don't care. And the working class Trump supporter, you've been duped, man. You've been duped. You've been lied to. Get out of the lesser of two evils duopoly. Get out of it. These two parties are horrific for everybody. We could be done with these wars. We should be spending this money at home. We could have high-speed rail coast to coast. We could have a pipeline infrastructure for water, not oil. So this part of the country is flooding. This part of the country is having drought. We move the oil there. That's innovation. We don't have innovation anymore. We just have old corporate assholes that are like, well, we need to keep America safe, so let's keep bombing. I'm Mitch McConnell. I'm Joe Biden. We need more war. Blah, 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 blah. Slack-jawed morons. We should be, every American, we could put everybody to work right now. Everybody to work with the Green New Deal. How are you going to pay for it? The same way we pay for all these dumb wars. Stop paying for all these dumb wars and actually spend it on the American people. But we're going to, all those people at Boeing, you're going to take their jobs away. Yeah, they're going to start making technology to reverse climate change. What if we did that? What if Boeing and Northrop Grumman and them said, hey, you can't make bombs anymore. You got to make solar panels. You got to make wind turbines. They got to be made in America by Americans, by union labor, and you better find the most sustainable way to do it. We can't just extract a bunch of resources to make these green energy. Figure it out. You're a bunch of scientists, you're smart people. Instead of spending all day and all this billions of dollars on research and development on how to murder people more efficiently, figure out how to save the planet more efficiently. You've got all these big brains under your roof. You got smart people over there. I know you do. Go, hey, I know this is going to sound crazy. We're going to stop murdering the world and we're going to try to save it. See what that can do. I know I'm talking crazy. Oh, it's more my socialism. Holy shit, I'm such a crazy socialist. I want everyone to have a job. I don't want anyone in jail for smoking a plant. I don't want people with mental illness to get shot because they're acting erratic. How about we give them care? I don't know. How about we treat people with, what's the word? Dignity. Isn't that what Jesus talked about? Jesus didn't bomb anybody. Jesus didn't give a gun. Jesus didn't kill anybody. Jesus didn't use tear gas or rubber bullets or drone strikes. Jesus didn't do any of those things. Wake up. Both parties are lying to you. Joe Biden is a piece of shit. Donald Trump is a piece of shit. They're both equal pieces of shit. You can get one piece of shit on like a rye bun with gluten-free bun with an organic piece of lettuce shit sandwich. Does that one sound good? There you go. There's a Democratic shit sandwich. And then the Republican shit sandwich, it's a red, white, and blue bun. Yeah, with bacon on it. You're still eating shit. Both sandwiches are mainly shit. So stop lying to yourself that there's a difference between these two shit sandwiches. Support what we do here, folks. Raytheon doesn't buy any ad time with me. Neither does Boeing. Shave your knuckles for justice. Boom. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please hit the like button, the subscribe button. Go to patreon.com/Graham Elwood and rockfin.com/Graham Elwood, where you can support the show. Also, I have a Bitcoin wallet, a Bitcoin Cash wallet, and an Ethereum wallet in the show notes. We're taking cryptocurrency. I have a Coinbase affiliation link. We're going to be getting on some other exchanges. So that's how you support the show. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. YouTube is unsubscribing us at an alarming rate. I have a PayPal button at GrahamElwood.com. I even have a Venmo at Graham-Elwood. There's a lot of ways to support our show. We are getting crushed by YouTube. We've dipped under 73,000 subscribers because of YouTube. Thanks for supporting what we do.